can happen to you too, folks. You could also be running for president and realize that there is a set up a catch and kill scheme with a local news.
We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before.
Yeah, because no presidential candidate has ever been a convicted felon with an active court case. Like, well, what do you mean? Yeah, no shit, dog. Yeah, these are unique times. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, yeah, we know it's unique. We know it's a first.
I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines, and was.
Oh, by the way, he's like, here's the liberal reaction. I'm so happy I could cry. Guess he and Mother Teresa will be cellmates. Michael Cohen on MSNBC at 8 tonight. So glad the Phillies aren't playing. But here, let's hear let's hear how this was.
This jury finding Donald J. Trump guilty on the first 5 felony counts. Reading the rest as we are getting it from our court reporters.
Starting with count 6.
Count 6, guilty. Count 7, guilty. Count 8, guilty. And you'll see on the screen we're tracking ahead. Count 9, guilty. Count 10, guilty. Count 11, guilty. Count 12, guilty. Count 13, guilty. Count 14, guilty. Count 16, guilty. Count 17, guilty. Count 18, guilty. Count 19, guilty. Count 20, guilty. Count 21.
Yeah, I know he's not the first to run indicted or convicted. Obviously, the GOAT, Eugene V. Debs, literally ran from prison. That's my GOAT right there. Labor leader, socialist, 5-time presidential candidate. Ran the 5th election in 1920 from prison. He was a conscientious objector to World War I. He was convicted of sedition for a 1918 speech in Canton, Ohio, where he criticized the junkers of Wall Street and the government for arresting anti-World War I activists. His conviction was handed down a week after Schenck v. United States introduced the clear and present danger test, which affirmed that print or spoken word could not be restrained or punished unless it creates a clear and present danger of bringing about a substantial evil. The court did not consider whether Debs' speech posed a clear and present danger. During his 1920 campaign, he ran as convict number 9653. He garnered nearly 1 million votes, or 3.4% of the popular vote. And then, okay, the rest of it is, the rest of the list is not as great. Okay, but this is the coolest and the best, for the record. The rest of the list is, you know, leaves much to be desired. Like Lyndon LaRouche was a conspiracist and a political extremist who ran for president 8 times from 1976 through 2004, first as a candidate for the now defunct U.S. Labor Party and later as a Democrat. He ran his 92 campaign from a prison cell after an 88 conviction for mail fraud and conspiracy to defraud the IRS by defaulting on more than $30 million in loans from campaign supporters. Oh my God, Larishites. Holy moly. Rick Perry, I did not know this. He was indicted in 2014 by a local grand jury following an investigation into whether he withheld millions of dollars from the office of the local district attorney, a Democrat. In 2015, he launched the 2016 presidential campaign, his second bid for the nation's highest office. But just 3 months later, he dropped out of the race after failing to convince the primary voters to give him a second look.
Another eloquent voice against World War Socialist Party.
Mark Ruffalo reads Eugene Debs' Canton speech, famous Canton speech, which we're not going to watch right now. Then obviously you have Joey Exotic, which I'm not even going to get into. Speak more on the Larishites, lol. No, I am not going to do that. We have enough fucking weirdo, like MAGA communist type motherfuckers and Baba Vakian revolutionary communist as it is. There is no reason to talk about Lara Scheitz on this broadcast, especially on this wonderful libbed up ass day. Okay?
With jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put two sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. And maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it.
He looks like shit, by the way. I mean, obviously, normally, he doesn't look great. Like, he doesn't look that great in general. But I'm not gonna lie, right now, he looks extra shitty. He's looking rough, dude.
Because I don't know if he knows about anything. But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by Washington, and nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Nobody.
So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail. So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed to talk about it. I hope you do, because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far
I don't know why he keeps saying the judge is conflicted, because if he's like operating, if the judge is operating with like bias, then why would he be conflicted? That part I don't understand. He keeps repeating that word over and over again, and it's like, it makes me feel like he maybe doesn't understand what that word means. Because it's like, no, seriously. Short for conflict of interest, obviously. No, but like, here's the problem. You could say he's compromised, exactly. But there is no conflict of interest if he's just biased. You know what I mean? Like, because he keeps saying the judge is biased against me. So where would the conflict be? Does that make sense? Like, it doesn't make sense. Even from the most charitable approach and saying that like he has a conflict of interest or whatever, like that would mean that there is like a second, like what is the conflict there? He's not conflicted at all. There is no conflict of interest. He just hates you. And he's biased.
As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil.
I feel like you're conflicted, bro. It seems weird. The way he's talking about this shit.
He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let us do those things. But when the government wanted something, they got everything. They got everything they wanted. It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a...
We wanted a venue change. We wanted to go to Alabama. We wanted to go to Missouri. We wanted to go to Mississippi. And it was rigged. They told me you can't do the crime in New York and then get convicted in Alabama. What's going on, folks? I'm kidding. I'm sure he wanted to just go to Albany, which is what usually they do. in situations like this. When there is like a glaringly obvious act of like white supremacist police violence, for example, against a black person, immediately they're like, well, let's take this court case to Albany. You know? Why Albany? Upstate New York is much more conservative and much more white, not as diverse as New York City. So that the jury selection in that situation will favor whoever the reactionary is.
Fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
How much are they paying you? Who is they? Oh, this is so good. We finally got the hogs back in, dude. This makes me so... Chat, you don't understand how happy I am when I see hogs in the chat. When hogs are back, I'm so happy. So much better than the annoying liberals. Oh my God. Election season starting early. Yeah. Greguki, we are excited to have you here. Please explain who you mean when you say they. Like, who do you think would be paying me other than you guys? Can you turn off your audio compressor when you burp, please? No. I feel like for Trumpers, never really stopped the political cycle. No, there has been so, dude, for quite some time, post-Trump getting owned in the electoral process, hogs just kind of died out in this community. And it made me so sad because I love them and they don't understand I love them. They don't understand that reality. I love them. I want to be around them. I want them to be in this community. I want them to come in and fucking chirp. I much prefer hogs to like liberal Zionist weirdos. I much prefer hogs to like annoying chirper woke scolds who come in to be like, when you burp into the microphone, it triggers my eating disorder or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, they're fun. God, I got too excited and he fucking left already. He's not saying, oh, there's layers of cake to it and you're one of them. Sent it twice because I don't see it on your stream. There's layers of cake to it and you're one of them. What does that mean? See? The mind of the hog, dude. What? Why are you talking like you're the Riddler? What the fuck? I mean, I am caked up. Come on, dude. Give us more. Give us more. Give us more.
Who is a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at. Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a...
I love this line of argument. I love this line of argument because like he just keeps repeating like other crimes happening. Like he's just like, I can't believe they're convicting me when other crimes are happening. Your Honor, there are murders happening every day. Solid defense, dude.
Store in a place where they're eating and he's going rampant, and Bragg is down watching a trial on what they call crimes. They're falsifying business records. That sounds so bad. To me, it sounds very bad. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, but to me, it sounds so bad. When they say falsifying business, that's a bad thing for me. I've never had that before. I'm falsifying. You know what falsifying business records is? In the first degree. They say falsifying business records. Sounds so good, right? It means that legal expense, I paid a lawyer, totally legal. I paid a lawyer a legal expense. And a bookkeeper, without any knowledge from me, correctly marked it down in the books. A very professional woman, highly respected, she testified, marked it down in the books as a legal expense. So a legal expense, paid a lawyer, is a legal expense in the books. It's not sheetrock, construction, or any other thing. It's a legal expense. Think of that. This is what the falsification of business records were. And I said, what else are you going to call it?
Wait, what do you mean? Yeah, you did put it down as a legal expense specifically because you got Michael Cohen to pay for it. The fuck do you mean? Why is he? Yeah, you cooked the fucking books, dog. It was for hush money. You know that right-wingers have a lot of sympathy for allegations that the life-ruining consequences of our justice system are somehow flawed.
What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify. The theory is you never testify because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there?
I am a bad boy, baddest of boys. Yeah, it's really fucked up that the judge allowed them to call into question in front of a jury his character across the board, which is certainly never done in trial. Yeah. Definitely. That's never happened before. First off, first time for everything, folks.
And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. Because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening.
What?
The level.
Wait, that's another cell report. He's saying, you're a serial perjurer. Sir, we can't have you testify because you're a serial perjurer. You would have just said some shit. Yeah.
Level of support has been incredible. So the whole thing is legal expense was marked down as legal expense. Think of it. This is the crime that I committed that I'm supposed to go to jail for 187 years for. When you have violent crime all over this city at levels that nobody's ever seen before, where you have businesses leaving, and businesses are leaving because of this, because heads of businesses say, man, we don't want to get involved with that. I could go through the books of any business person in this city, and I could find things that in theory, I guess, let's indict him, let's destroy his...
Whoa. Whoa, chill, bro, chill. He's like, you don't understand. They're all criminals, which he's not wrong. Don't threaten me with a good time, sir. Fuck. Anyone and everyone. They're all doing it, folks. That's why they're running away.
Life. But I'm out there, and I don't mind being out there because I'm doing something for this country, and I'm doing something for our Constitution. It's very important, far beyond me. And this can't be allowed to happen to other.
Yeah. If this happened to me, it can happen to you too, folks. You could also be running for president and realize that there is a set up a catch and kill scheme with a local newspaper. And in the process, realize that a porn star that you had sexual intercourse with might come out and openly reveal it, which could potentially harm, in your own calculations, could harm your chances of winning the election. So then you can call in your lawyer, your fixer, Michael Cohen, to go and pay hush money so that she doesn't come out with her story. Happens to me, could happen to you too. Who amongst us has not paid? Who amongst us has not paid hush money to a porn star? I thought these people were woke. I thought they were pro-sex work.
Never be allowed to happen in the future. But this is far beyond me. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency. And the people understand it because I just see a poll just came out, the Daily Mail. That was the first one, came out, was done last night right after the verdict, where I'm up 6 points. 6 points from what we already were. We were leading fairly substantially. We're up 6 points in the Daily Mail poll. Now, maybe other polls come out and it says something differently, but a lot of people have predicted it because...
Maybe I'm stupid, but I genuinely don't understand why this is illegal. You can't take campaign funds and pay off hush money for a porn star and then masquerade it as a... Well, there's 34 different reasons why it's illegal, but you can't shelter public opinion from something that could have potentially changed the election outcomes. You can't take campaign funds and pay off your lawyer under legal fees when it's just simply paying off hush money. You can't lie to the public like that. You know, can't do anything. You mean like the Biden laptop? Yes, just like the Biden laptop. The Brandon laptop, it's illegal, folks. Like, there are so many different avenues where he could have conducted himself in a different manner. Where he could have, like, part of the reason why he got caught and like, they made the argument that he did this specifically for the election. Because, like, there was a previous very similar case in the past where I believe a former, another politician, I forget who it was, had a similar situation where he said that he actually paid specifically and, like, cooked the books specifically because he wanted to shelter the truth from his family. Didn't you defend Biden's laptop, though? Biden's laptop? Guys, Hunter Biden is not running for the fucking... Oh, God. Come on, dude. 153? 153 is 7 minutes early, bro. That's way too fucking soon. Many people are hitting top of the hour ad break debates 7 minutes before the top of the hour, not in the 5 minute. I'm too hog horny right now. It is a weakness. 5 minutes. No. We have a 10-minute rule. Did that other hog respond? I think he left. Yeah, he just stopped talking. We got too excited. I think it was John Edwards. You can avoid those ads by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, folks. Believe me. Twitch Prime is free. You can also get gifted a sub. If you are lucky, by the likes of Motorface and Adrian is online, gifting 5 individual gifted subs. When is the sentencing? July 11th, 4 days before the Republican National Convention. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
The public understands, and they understand what's going on. This is a scam. There's a rigged trial. It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge. He should have allowed us to have an election expert. We had the best expert, most respected expert, head of the Federal Elections Commission. He was all set to testify. He was waiting for 2 days. And when it was his turn, Bragg's people protested. And the judge knocked him out, said, you can't testify. He actually said you can't testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that. But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case, but it had to do with politics. And do you notice the timing? The timing was perfect. This case was dead. It was dropped by every agency, every governmental board. It was dropped by the highly respected Southern District. They said, no, there's no case here. It was dropped by federal election, and that's what it's about. This is about a federal election, not a state election. You're not even allowed to look at it. They took the state and the city, and they went into a federal election. They're not allowed. The people from federal election, Southern District, and Washington dropped the case. Everybody dropped the case. There was no case. Cy Vance dropped the case. And when Bragg came in, he said, this is the most ridiculous case I've ever seen. And who would have a certain person, again, gag order, who would have a certain person like this ever testify? He said, this is essentially one of the worst people I've ever seen ever to testify. He said, the craziest case I've ever seen. This is Bragg. Then when I announced I was running for president, long time later, they decided to revive this case. And they got a judge, Judge Marchand, who was responsible for another case that was also brought. It destroyed the life of a very good man, by the way. Destroyed the life of a very good man who went to prison once, and then they just put him in prison again because they said he lied. He didn't lie. I looked at the statements he made. In fact, he didn't remember something, and they put him in jail. Again, they've destroyed him. With me for many years, he was an honorable person. He was an honest man. And if you look at what he did, supposedly, it never happened. There's never been anything like this over the education of his grandchildren.
I think the guy he's talking about is his wasn't it his like accountant or whatever, or not his accountant, but his people are saying Epstein. No, dude. It's Alan Weisselberg, former Trump executive, who was sentenced 5 months in jail for lying for perjury. A retired executive in Donald Trump's real estate empire was sentenced Wednesday to 5 months in jail for lying under oath during his testimony in the civil fraud lawsuit brought against the former president by New York's Attorney General. Weisselberg, 76, was escorted out of the courtroom in handcuffs following the sentencing. It's the second time behind bars. The former Trump Organization chief financial officer served 100 days last year for dodging taxes on the $1.7 million in company perks, including because he changed his like compensation structure to like a rent-free Manhattan apartment, luxury cars, I think like paid for the schools or something. Like he changed his compensation structure and dodged 1.7 million in taxes. When Weisselberg pleaded guilty last month to 2 counts of perjury, the Office of the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg made a legally binding promise not to prosecute him for any other crimes he might have committed in connection with his longtime employment at the Trump Organization. Weisselberg's plea deal also does not require him to testify at Trump's hush money trial, which is scheduled to start with jury selection on Monday. He accepted responsibility for his conduct and now looks forward to the end of this life-altering experience and returning to his family in his retirement. The two cases highlighted Weisselberg's unflinching loyalty to Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee. The governor of Wisconsin has already declared a state of emergency over the RNC. So many people here in Milwaukee are worried about how this is going to amplify the shitstorm heading our way. I can't decide whether or not to leave during those days. Dude, are you kidding me? I kind of want to go to it. I feel like that's like the best. That's when the going gets good, dude. The hog watch will be unimaginable. Oh, think of the content, dude. I will be going to the DNC for sure. That's the hog safari, bitch. Trump's family employed Weisselberg for nearly 50 years. It gave him a $2 million severance deal. When the tax charges prompted him to retire, the company continues to pay his legal bills. Weisselberg testified twice in trials that went badly for Trump, but each time he took pains to suggest that his boss hadn't committed any serious wrongdoing. He's a real loyal guy. Too scared to head out to Naperville when you're in Chicago, I bet. Oh, yeah. I got shooters out in Naperville. There's no way this guy didn't narc on Trump. No, I think he literally lied for Trump. So the stream not hitting like he used to. Scroll up. It's jank. Are you okay, dude? Oh, my God. Hillary Clinton. Live Hillary Clinton reaction.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today? Thank you.
Oh, my God. Lock her up. Lock her up, folks.
He didn't report that he had a car or two cars on his income. I don't know. I wonder how many people here have cars. I wonder how many people said, oh, gee, I have a car that's worth X dollars. How do you even figure it? And I guess you do have to report it, but I would say probably almost nobody does. Nobody even thinks about it. They put this man, they destroyed this man, but they put him in jail again because they didn't want him to testify. They didn't want him to testify. That's why he went to jail. They put him in jail twice. He's 77 years old. Now, normally I'd say that's an old guy, but I don't feel 77. Nobody ever says that about me. I'd like them to say, gee, we have to have a little sorrow for this man, because they just don't say that about me, but maybe I'm better off that way. I think I'm probably better off that way. But they put him in jail twice. And you have to see what they put him in jail. And he was threatened by the judge. This man was told, you're going to get 15 years if you don't give up Trump. And he was told that. You're going to get 15 years in jail. And he made a plea deal because he didn't want to spend the rest of his life. And he was told that viciously. We're living in a fascist state. He was told that viciously. So you can go to jail for 4 months, 5 months, or you can get 15 years in jail. So do a plea. Almost who wouldn't do that plea? Everyone does those pleas. It's a horrible thing. There's a whole group of lawyers that fight that. It's so unfair. It's so unfair. But they destroyed his life. So many other things. You look at Southern District didn't want to bring the case. Nobody wanted to bring the case. And then you know who didn't want to bring the case most of all? Is Bragg. Bragg didn't want to bring it. But then he
didn't want to do it.
And they tried to make it a different case. They didn't say legal expense.
Why are people so determined to defend this motherfucker despite how horrible of a person he is and all the shit he's done? Genuine question. Like, I seriously can't comprehend it, because they're horrible too. And they're horrible in a similar way. And he does a phenomenal job of being like the beacon of anger. They can all just like relentlessly support and cause him to vent all of their frustrations about liberal Democrats ruining the country. That's it. He is their God because he owns the fucking libs. He owns them so thoroughly. And that's the real reason why he's going to prison, folks. I mean, he's not, but imagine if he did. That'd be awesome.
Equal legal expense. Again, if I wrote down and paid a lawyer, and by the way, this was a highly qualified lawyer. Now, I'm not allowed to use his name because of the gag order. But, you know, he's a sleazebag. Everybody knows that. Took me a while to find out. But he was effective. He did work. But he wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. You know, they like to use the word fixer. He wasn't a fixer. He was a lawyer. At the time, he was a fully accredited lawyer. Now, he got into trouble not because of me. He got into trouble because he made outside deals, and he had something to do with taxi cabs and medallions, and he borrowed money. And that's why he went. And then he pled to three election violations. And as soon as I saw that, I said, I wonder why he did that. He pled. He took a deal. Now, he took a deal because he wanted to get off. In other words, I'll take a plea deal, and I want to get off. And he wanted to make a deal with the Southern District. And they wrote the worst report I think I've ever seen on any human being, other than the report that was written on James Comey by the Inspector General, a very great Inspector General, actually. Wrote a report that was so bad. This one was possibly worse. The Southern District, the judge didn't let us use it. He said, it's hearsay. I said, it's not hearsay. Wouldn't let us use it. This is about the man. But he got in trouble for a very simple reason, because he was involved with borrowing a lot of money, and he did something with the banks. I don't know if it's defrauded the banks, but something happened. You guys know what it is. And then in addition to that, he gave up on three things where he wasn't guilty. In fact, they were going to testify in that. The head of the FEC, the Brad Smith, the election expert, #1 rated in the country, was going to testify. He took a plea on three things. He just added them in because that gave him more bargaining power with respect to me. But the three things that he pled on, having to do with the election and having to do essentially a little bit with me, they weren't crimes. They weren't crimes. Nor is paying money under an NDA. So we have an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. It's a big deal, a non-disclosure agreement. Totally honorable, totally good, totally accepted. Everybody has them. Every company has non-disclosure agreements. But
what was it for? What was it for, though? I just can't remember what it was. If you could refresh my memory. Who was getting the hush money? The non-disclosure agreement money? And what were they not allowed to disclose? I just can't remember. I just cannot remember what it is, what it was. I feel like that is kind of, you know, just interesting.
But the press called it slush fund and all sorts of other things. Hush money, hush money. It's not hush money. It's called the non-disclosure agreement. And most of the people in this room have a non-disclosure agreement with their company. It's a disgrace. So
That's so funny. Like, he's talking about it. He's talking about paying off a porn star to not reveal that they had sex right before an election, as though it's like you're working on proprietary tech and you don't want it to be revealed to your fucking competing corporations. You know what I mean? Like, my penis, it's proprietary, folks. If the other real estate moguls found out what I do with this penis, you best believe it, they'd use it too. The way I move in the bedroom. It's just a normal NDA.
Not hush money. It's a non-disclosure agreement, totally legal, totally common. Everyone has it. And what happened is he signed a non-disclosure agreement with this person, I guess other people, but it's totally honest. You're allowed to make the payment.
Why won't he just? It's just weird when he wants to like address the issue. It's funny when he wants to address the issue, but can't specifically name names. Partially because of the gag order. For the record, this is a consequence of the gag order. In some respects, and also because like if he were to talk about the actual details of the situation, people are gonna be like, wait, what? Like he's just reminding people that he fucked Stormy Daniels and then tried to silence her before the election. Which is, of course, also doubly funny because he has denied having sex with her as well.
You don't have to make it. You can make it anyway.
Why even bother paying her? Would anyone even care if he fucked her? That is another incredible question. And the answer, which makes it even funnier, is that no, people objectively would not care. Because we now know, he didn't even have to fucking do it. He personally thought people would care at the time, clearly, because they literally, in private conversations, openly stated, he said, wait until after the election and then we won't even need to pay her. Which is a direct way to prove that this was for election reasons, okay? Just hold off on paying her until after the election and we won't have to pay her. Still confused why she even agreed to sign it, though? What do you mean? What? Get the bag, son? What are you talking about? Money. Hello? Who wouldn't want that bag? Are you kidding me?
The way you want. It's a non-disclosure.
Yeah, are you first of all, she deserves it. Okay? For fucking this thing? I mean, come on. What are you going to do? Not milk it? Yeah, she worked hard for that shit. Secondly, I love that you said Melania would care. Okay.
And he signed that. And there was nothing wrong with signing it. And this should have been a non-case. And everybody said it was a non-case, including Bragg. Bragg said, until I ran for office. And then they saw the polls. I was leading the Republicans. I was leading the Democrats. I was leading everybody. And all of a sudden, they brought it back. That's happening in our country. And it's a thing that I'm honored. In a way, I'm honored. It's not that it's pleasant. It's very bad for family. It's very bad for friends and businesses. But I'm honored to be involved in it because somebody has to do it. And I might as well keep going and be the one. But I'm very honored to be involved because we're fighting for our Constitution. The money that was paid legally. There was nothing illegal. In fact, the lawyer in creating the NDA, because at that time he was a fully accredited lawyer. He wasn't a fixer. I never thought of him as a fixer. The media called him
Okay.
a fixer, or the prosecutors.
Who's the lawyer, man? Who are you talking about, dude?
Called him a fixer. He was a lawyer, and he was fairly good. Later on, I didn't like what he did. I didn't like, for instance, I didn't like that when I became president, he went around and made deals with companies. When I heard that, he was gone. He was gone. And he had payments coming to him. And a lot of this involved things that are very simple. There was nothing wrong. This was standard stuff, all standard stuff. Everything involved was standard. There was no crime here. In fact, I just watched a couple of the reports. You watched Jonathan Turley, Andy McCarthy, Greg Jarrett, You look at all of these people.
All the best of the
Mark
best.
Levin, all very talented people, great people, many more, many more. And they don't know me, essentially. They don't know me. They're legal scholars and experts. But I look at them. I watched Turley this morning saying there's no crime here. Everybody says there's no crime here.
Okay, let's get into the details of it a little bit because I feel like we haven't really discussed the nitty-gritty. Okay? So, former President Trump's conviction in New York stemmed from a $130,000 hush money payment to his attorney Michael Cohen, which Michael Cohen made to adult film star Stormy Daniels in the days before the 2016 election. Prosecutors said the deal was meant to keep voters in the dark about Daniels' allegation that she had sex with Trump years earlier, which he denies. But the actual charges that Trump faced were far less salacious and dealt with the comparatively mundane paperwork that was generated for when he reimbursed Michael Cohen for the payment. 34 counts of falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a felony in New York. He pleaded not guilty when he was arraigned last year. So here's how the story starts. In 2017, Cohen and Alan Weisselberg, an executive at Trump Organization, reached an agreement about how Cohen would be repaid for the $130,000 that he sent to Daniels in exchange for her silence. Weisselberg detailed the calculations and handwritten notes that were shown to jury at trial. Cohen would receive $130,000 for the Daniels payment, plus $50,000 intended for a technology company that did unrelated work for Trump. That amount was doubled to account for taxes that Cohen would have to pay on the income. Weisselberg then tacked on an extra $60,000 as a bonus for Cohen, who was upset that his regular year-end award had been cut. The total worked out to $420,000. Okay? Cohen would be paid in a series of monthly payments of $35,000 over the course of 2017. The first check was $70,000 covering 2 months. Cohen sent an invoice to the Trump Organization for each check, portraying the payment as his retainer. Every time he was paid, a bookkeeper generated a record for the company's files known as a voucher with the description legal expense. The first 3 payments were made from Trump's trust, while the remaining 9 came from his personal account. Each of the 34 charges against Trump corresponded to a check, invoice, and voucher generated to reimburse Cohen. The prosecution laid out the charges in a chart that jurors saw several times during the trial. Prosecutors said Trump knew the payments were to reimburse Cohen for the Daniels payment, not for his legal expenses. The jury voted to convict on all 34 counts. How say you the first count of the indictment? Guilty, the foreperson responded, repeating the answer 33 times. Under New York law, the falsification of business records is a crime when the records are altered with an intent to defraud. To be charged as a felony, prosecutors must also show that the offender intended to commit another crime or aid or conceal another crime when falsifying the records. In Trump's case, prosecutors said that the other crime was a violation of New York election law. That makes it illegal for any 2 or more persons to conspire, to promote, or prevent the election of any person to a public office by unlawful means. What exactly those unlawful means were in this case up for the jury to decide. Prosecutors put forth 3 areas that they could consider: a violation of federal campaign finance laws, falsification of other business records, or a violation of tax laws. Jurors did not need to agree on what the underlying unlawful means were, but they did have to unanimously conclude that Trump caused the business records to be falsified and that he did so with intent to defraud that included an intent to commit another crime or to aid or conceal the commission thereof. Trump's defense was that they were paying Cohen not because of the Stormy Daniels hush money payment, but instead that was just like regular old legal fees, which is wrong. It's just a lie, right? and that the descriptions on the invoices and records were accurate. Cohen held the title personal attorney to the president once Trump took office and was being paid for his legal services under an unwritten retainer agreement. Therefore, the argument went, no business records were falsified. Except the problem is, Michael Cohen openly did say, no, this is for hush money. And also, there was enough evidence to show that it was definitely for hush money, including, but not limited to, the handwritten fucking note. So, you know, he's cooked in that situation. Okay, but what was the crime? He claimed it was wrong on his taxes, according to them. That's what we're going for because we couldn't get him on anything else. I don't even want to vote.